Tropical Storm Bertha will be the next name if this storm ends up forming, which will be a rainmaker for millions of Americans. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for content like this. And as you can see, we have a storm here. HRRR model showing the possibility of it just stopping right there in New Orleans, and that's where the questions are. The many concerns that we have about this storm. Where will it land? Will it be able to go to Texas, Louisiana? We're trying to figure out where the landfall is. The later the landfall, the stronger the hit. As you can see with the HRRR model, it stops it right there, as this is going to be the latest. This is the 13. This is the 12Z run, so that's what we're seeing. So from Weatherfront here, let's see if we can pull this Euro model. As you can see, this Euro model, it looks like it tries to go into Florida and Alabama. That's the 06Z of that run. But as you go into the GFS model, tries to, looks like it's sitting around New Orleans, and then it just goes out there. And then as we get into the NAM model, it tries to skip New Orleans. It seems it's there, but some of these models showing it being a tropical storm, the potential for a hurricane is there, so stay tuned for that. I'll talk to you about where that possibility is going to be at. But what's going on here is we have our area of low pressure that's going to sit right into this area right here. As you may know, it's moving like that into that direction. But the question is, once we get to New Orleans, what are we going to have here? Are we going to bypass New Orleans and make a landfall? Or are we going to make a landfall there? You know, this storm, it still has the possibility to go up like this, but that's just not likely anymore. We're looking at the possibility of it going into New Orleans, are going down here into Houston, Texas. And the difference with these tracks, and depending on where it makes landfall, the later it makes landfall, the stronger the storm will get. I've talked about it before. We have the possibility of this becoming possibly a hurricane. If it tries to make landfall into Texas, it potentially can get to hurricane status, maybe category 1. Not saying category 2. All cards are on the table that are possible here. Let's just say that. So if it makes landfall here, it'll probably make landfall as a tropical storm or maybe a low-end Cat 1. But then as we get into this area, you're becoming more likely to possibly get this to a hurricane status, and this will be the first hurricane of the 26th hurricane season. So as we look into that right there, we're seeing the NAM, and the NAM is just spinning this storm around, showing us different directions. But what do we have as far as watches and warnings? Watches and warnings. We have tropical storm watches are in effect for areas of Panama City and Pensacola. You can't see this on your. Well, yes, you can actually. This is right here into Alabama. Alabama, you do have a tropical storm watch is in effect for Mobile, Alabama. So you have to watch out. Heat advisories in effect. I wouldn't be surprised if New Orleans get these tropical storm watches very momentarily if they haven't gotten them already. But as we look into the Tallahassee area, you can't see this right here, but these are actually tropical weather statements that are in effect for areas of Florida and Alabama. Some of these areas are probably going to get extended as the time goes on, but in the north, we have some air quality alerts, some heat advisories in the central part of the country, some extreme heat warnings in effect, heat advisories in effect for areas of Myrtle Beach into Wilmington. As you get into areas of Charleston, dense smoke advisory. That smoke is going to be packing a punch for areas all across portions of the country. So that's going down towards the south. So you have that dense smoke advisory. Air quality alerts are going on in effect in the north as well. So you have those flood advisories for Texas. Let's get into the Weather Prediction Center. As I said before, you have those area of that rainfall. But let's get into the fact that eastern North Carolina today, you're going to be dealing with the rainfall, as well as areas of Texas still going to be dealing with this ongoing rain pattern over and over. East of Phoenix, rain as well. In the Midwest, we have a severe weather threat we have to talk about, because the Midwest is actually looking concerning for that severe weather threat. Let's look to that. But I'll show you eastern North Carolina as well. Eastern North Carolina into Raleigh, you're going to be having this slight risk of severe weather. Tornado threat, not going to be worrying about that in Raleigh. As you get into the wind threat, you're going to be worrying about that. And the hail threat, not going to be worrying about that at all as you get into the Midwest areas. Level 3 out of 5 risk northwest of Chicago into the tornado risk. Going to have the dash lines northwest of Chicago as well. Wind threat. the northwest of that area, and the hail threat northwest with those dash lines as well. So if you live in this area around Chicagoland, you need to be watching out for this. This is going to be an interesting severe weather threat today. So we have the risk of tornadoes. Don't want to say it's going to be a tornado outbreak, but there's definitely probably going to be some tornado activity that is happening going on in those areas right into there. Now, as we look at the fire weather outlook, we have no areas of fire weather outlook to worry about here. As in mesoscale discussions, as you can see, this is probably going to say something about a tornado, but as you can see, there's severe potential. They're watching that probability of that mesoscale also into areas of Michigan. Let's see. They're watching that severe potential there. So that probably has something to do with the tornado outbreak, tornado threat. Climate Prediction Center, as always, we're still looking at those above average temperatures, although we've shifted a little towards New York having the below average. So some areas of the Midwest now expecting above average temperatures, below average temperatures as you get around Seattle and things like that of that nature. But convective outlook, let's look at this into the day 2 outlook. You're going to be dealing with this around the same sort of areas again, categorical data. Tornado threat around areas of New York, and wind threat going to be stronger the more northern and central you get of the mid-Atlantic. Hail threat going to be areas that are going to be southwest of New York. So that's something to watch out for as you get into your Wednesday. Areas of eastern North Carolina once again, then become low to predict in those areas. Again, my name is Michael. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you out there in the weather community. We're going to provide you with updates. Remember, we're going to try and see what path these storms are going to take and things like that of that nature. Tropical storm Bertha is probably going to form already, to be honest, about the time you watch this video. My name is Michael. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you out there in the weather community.